coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
Welcome to สวัสดีกระมังกระเช็คตัวซันชาเนลูสต้นปะฮูปะฮูฮายดิซี่
What's up, everybody? It's of course your boy Andrew Esquire, giving you some little bit of. People were saying, "Where's the anime intro?" It's always here. It's always here, guys. Good to see everybody here today on the Legal Mindset. I don't think we're scuffed today. Some people said that the intro there got a little, the song got a little scuffed for a second. But do appreciate you guys here in the chat. On this channel where we teach you to be your own judge. And we've got two amazing topics today. We've got Diddy and a little bit of Power World because Nintendo finally sued Power World just as I predicted was possible months and months and months ago. And people got really butthurt at me when I said that it's possible that Nintendo can sue Power World. I said they shouldn't do it. It's bad PR. It's stupid. It makes them look weak. It looks like they're coming from a position of an underdog almost, right? It's or not an underdog, but rather it's an inferior almost, having to make that attack, having to make that lawsuit. I said they shouldn't, but they could, and now they have, right? And all of those people that were sitting there in my comments saying they can't, they're all wrong now. And the craziest thing is they're not even suing over copyright. They're suing over patent, which is actually something a little different. So we'll talk about that in a second. I kind of plan to do an intro to the topic today and then do a little bit of a deep dive on that and exactly what they're suing over in a future episode, especially as we get more details on it, as more comes out. Yeah, we're going to get that. And once again, people say in the chat, F Nintendo. I agree. This is a Nintendo L for sure. But it's something that was possible, particularly when you consider Japanese law and the fact that these are two Japanese companies, and this is not something in America. So I think, were they able to sue? Absolutely. Should they? I don't think so. I don't think it's a good move. And the fact that they weren't able to negotiate some sort of deal, come to some sort of arrangement or settlement is really, really bad for Nintendo. And it looks bad for them as a company in general. Doug Diaz gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships starting this stream off as...
Listen, I cannot absolve you. Mega based.
Thank you, Doug, for being such a Chad with the 5 Legal Mindset memberships. And then King Lugia, we got our resident Pokemon here, dropping 1 illegal mindset membership, talking about Power World versus Pokemon. Actually reminded me, I don't know if you guys anybody saw this, but there was this effort by artists to reskin Pokemon Emerald. So there's like a reskin of that. I think it's like Pokemon Emerald reskinned, I believe it's called, or something like that. But they just came out with a bunch of different skins for this, and some of them are kind of nightmarish. So not gonna lie, the reskin looks kind of weird. I'll have to find that at a future point. But some artists took it seriously. Some artists, well, they were not taking that seriously. Jin Blades dropped 5 legal mindset memberships. Appreciate that, Jin Blades. Let's get one for you here.
Hello. Beso de pato, man.
Appreciate you. And guys, as you come in, please make sure you're smashing the like button. We're currently at 438 people, which tells me that not everybody's gotten this. Maybe it's because I got to hit send on the locals post. Maybe it's because I have to send on the locals post because some people only get notifications that way. So let me do that. I thought I hit send, but I actually just left it hanging. So everybody gets that notification. Obviously, if you have this on Twitter, you can tweet this out. And I'm sure within a second, we'll get up to our standard 1,000 people in the chat. It's our standard now. Also, big shout out to a couple of creators. Obviously, I talked about Shondo. I'm very glad that she got her Twitch circumstance and her appeal reversed and overturned. And then shout out to Poe, whose chat I was in last night after I finished with VTubing. She's really cool. We were talking about Japan, and that's her intro. The VTuber who did the intro, that this is a legal mindset channel intro. So shout out to them as well. And I do hope to have more creators both on my channel, both VTubers and non-VTubers. And also, we're coming up with a trial here, potentially the Sarah Boone trial. And I've got an idea. So I may or may not, and this would be very interesting, I may or may not bring in some content creators, including VTubers, who don't have experience watching trials, so we can get kind of here's the lawyer and the layman, right, point of view. Just one or two, so it's not a huge panel. Those massive kind of legal panels where they have 8 or 9 lawyers all trying to yap over each other, that's too much. But one or two, we go in, we watch the trial, we do some light stream sniping, we see what they think of other creators that are covering this. I think that would be very, very interesting, especially bringing in some VTubers that really don't know much about trial or the law. That'd be really, really fun. So I think that's the direction we're going. I think that's the true path. So if you know any people that would like to, are content creators that would like to do a trial watch, they can email me. Obviously, I'll look through. I think it would be funnier or more fun if they're VTubers, because that kind of would add a different element to it. And on a new element to it. But yes, of course, people like Rima and DN Parrot, I'll give those guys, because they're kind of OG VTubers that have hung with me. I'll give them an inside scoop. Junie also, they'll get an inside scoop. Kirsha for sure. Pippa, yeah, that'd be great. Pipkin Pippa reviewing a trial stream. That'd be hilarious. Now, they are pretty long, so they would need to, at least have some time. They could pop in for like an hour or two and then pop out and just be like, wow, this is what real trial is like. That is possible as well. So we'll talk about that. But that's one of my ideas going forward. People saying that would be awesome. Kind of merging the law tube and VTuber sphere. Yes, merging it all. The chaos of Pippa doing a trial stream will be wild. Yeah, and once again, not having to do all of it, at least like an hour or two, pop in, check it out, pop out. Kirsha or Pippa with Sarah Boone would be crazy. Because mind you, it's a suitcase murder. Like, this is this girl shoved a boyfriend in a suitcase. If that's not yandere, I don't know what's yandere, So yes, yeah, just like the good old Rittenhouse day, except with more VTubers. If you had Pippa and Kirsha, you would break the web. Well, that's my intention. All right. So, and by the way, someone said someone will have to bug Kirsha to read her DMs. She actually answers me if I message her on Discord or wherever else. Like, she'll answer me. All right. So we're going to get into it today. Let's start with, we're going to start with Pal World, and then we're going to jump over to Diddy, and Diddy's going to get real crazy. So strap in for that. Also, a little bit of a content warning today. I'm going to give it a couple times, but obviously this deals with extreme sexual content. If this is something, if you have a history of trauma, and I guess let me make a banner here. Let's see here. Warning. So graphic legal discussion, right? So, okay, I'm going to make a little warning that's going to scroll on the bottom. Okay, so this is going to be a graphic discussion. Now, of course, it's legal. It's a legal discussion. It's something that involves the law, so I'm going to be talking about it from a legal standpoint, but I am going to be making some jokes. I'll make some entertaining comments. If you are easily offended, if you're someone who has a history of trauma or etc., maybe you shouldn't watch this, because maybe you're going to end up salty or triggered or whatever else. So here's your little warning. Here's your warning, your first warning, and we'll get to another one when we get to the topic of Diddy. So let's start with Pal World real quick. What happened with that? Well, we've got a lawsuit. for patent rights. Now, I know that a lot of people are already confusing this because they're just no better than a...
ティングモンキーとかさ、
I don't understand the difference, but copyright and patent are two different things, right? You're copywriting a particular perhaps design, a particular pattern, a particular maybe character, right? You might have a copyright to that specific thing, a story. However, patent is looking at the process, how things get done, and is patenting a process. And if you are able to have a successful patent on a process, you can actually block people from that. And there are some very, very broad patents that are block people essentially almost out of entire industries. And this has been a huge thing. This is why there is the term patent trolling, because patents have been allowed in the United States and in other jurisdictions to essentially allow one company to have effective monopolies over a niche, over a very small niche. And to be very clear, this is filed in Tokyo, in the Tokyo District Court. So yes, there are a lot of similarities between Japanese law and US law, but this is not one for one. So we can't say, okay, this is going to go down exactly like this American case. That's not what's going to apply here, because both companies are CITES, they're located, they're headquartered, the majority of their business is in Japan. So that's a very, very relevant factor here that a lot of people, particularly Americans, are ignoring. So filing lawsuit for infringement of patent rights against Pocket Pair, that's people who make Power World, Nintendo HQ Kyoto, Minamiku, Japan, Representative Director and President Shuntaro Furukawa, Nintendo, together with the Pokemon Company, which, by the way, Nintendo has their HQ in Kyoto, but Pokemon Company is actually in Tokyo, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in the Tokyo District Court against Pocket Pair, HQ Hishigawa Gotanda, Shinagawa-ku, Tokyo, defendant, on September 18th. The lawsuit seeks an injunction. Injunction means, by the way, to stop, right? So to stop the infringement, which would mean essentially to shut down the game as is, and compensate damages on the grounds that Power World, a game developed and released by defendant, infringes on multiple patent rights. So essentially to shut down Power World and to get damages. That's what they want, right? Nintendo will continue to take such actions against infringement of its intellectual property, including the Nintendo brand itself. To protect intellectual properties has worked hard to establish over the years. So you might be asking, okay, well, patents, what do they got? Well, they've got a lot of different patents. And once again, I'm going to do a separate stream on this, kind of going over them in detail. But here are some patents that belong to the Pokemon Company, right? And now I believe some of these may be US specific, and there may be more patents in Japan, right? So a lot of these are American patents. But for example, there's gamification of health awareness based on sleep patterns. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? Sounds super broad. Well, that's how patents work. Patents are super broad. You're like, wait a second, you can patent that? Yeah, you can. And this is why patent lawyers make a lot of money, and they have to take a special bar exam, because they are masters at writing things as broadly as possible. Literally, they obtained a patent on a user breeding a virtual life form by practicing good sleep habits. So if you are dealing with a virtual life form by practicing good sleep habits, that is patented by Pokemon Company. They can block out or try to block out anybody who does a similar thing. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that overly broad to you? To me, it is, right? To me, it is. When I look at that, I'm like, oh, okay. Wait, what is it? As I'm doing this, I'm looking at, okay, wait, what the fuck? Okay. Somebody went back during my stream right now and tried to copyright claim like a 2-year-old video. That's so lame. So lame. I'm going to fix the issue and just delete the song. Yeah, it's so stupid. People try to do the stupidest things. But anyways, so this is a super broad one. Then you've got, here's another one. In a game program, so in a game, a ground boarding target object or an air boarding target object is selected by a selection operation, and the player character is caused to board the selecting object selected boarding target object. So what are you thinking? That is getting on the skateboard, getting on the bike, getting on the Pokemon to fly, right? To swim, right? So this is fly and swim and bike, right? They literally tried to patent that, and they did. They got a patent over that. Now, whether or not that holds up, once again, these patents haven't been challenged yet. Whether it's effective, we don't know yet. But once again, they have a patent, so presumptively they can block people on that, right? They can block people on that. In first player mode, an aiming direction of virtual space is determined based on a second operation, and the player character is caused to launch in the aiming direction item that affects a field character disposed on a field in virtual space. This is throwing a ball. This is throwing a ball. So once again, you've got a lot of these that are super, super broad. Super broad. Wake up time. An object is to provide a user with motivation to wake up in the morning and guide the user to sufficient awakening by generating a breeding event and a breeding game of a virtual life form. Literally waking, they got a patent on waking up in the morning. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Once again, this is, I think, a problem with the patent system is they get such specific patents. I'm like, that's too broad. Why was this granted in the first place? Storage systems, interperson battling, right? I mean, this is all very, very, very broad stuff. Now, how's the court in Tokyo going to take this? We don't know yet. We'll have to see. And which specific ones do they bring in Tokyo? Did they bring these, or did they bring other patents that might maybe exist in the Japanese system that might not exist in the US system? We don't know yet. And yes, some people have mentioned that some of these patents were filed afterwards. So after Power World came out. So yes, they may not be able to use some of them. However, I think they've got enough here to at least try to make this into a trial, to try to push this thing. And what they really want to do is get as much they can from Power World as possible. Now, what I think their strategy where it's flawed is they waited until Power World has money. And that does mean that can make the lawsuit worth it. They can collect something off of Power World, but it also means that Power World can now hire good lawyers. They can hire, the same type of lawyers that keep people out of jail, the same type of lawyers that win big cases. They can put real money into their legal defense. Now, the ultimate, I think, best outcome is just to settle it out and say, okay, we're going to pay out a certain amount, go the fuck away, right? So Power World pays out Pokemon, so Pokemon saves face, and then once they've saved face, they walk away and everyone goes back to what they're doing. I think that might be the best outcome, but it sounds cheap and petty, and frankly, Nintendo is going to look like a spoiled little whiny bitch of a company by doing this. Einander said, waking up to a breeding session is patented. I guess it explains why my wife doesn't do that.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
Although I guess it's with your wife, so I mean that's not that degenerate. I mean, you are supposed to be fruitful and multiply and all that stuff. But yes, are they being petty? The answer is yes, Chaos Smash for 2. They are being petty. It is very juvenile. However, do they have a case? Yeah. Are they able to file it? Yeah. Is this going to get bounced on a motion to dismiss? Nope. It's going to survive a motion to dismiss. And that's all you need to tie someone in court for a while, to tie them up in court for a while, to cost them. And imagine if they get a preliminary injunction that they have to shut Power World down. Power World still has a lot of active players. In fact, let's look right now. Let's look at how many people are playing Power World right now, right? So remember, Concord and Dustbin had 2 players, 30 players, 100 players. Yeah, so Power World, which came out months ago, right? Still has right now 13,909 people playing. At their 24-hour peak, they had 26,734. So they have a significant player base. And obviously the peak players was 2,101,867. So they're still doing great. Obviously they're kind of dropping off. They've had some spikes here where users kind of spiked up. And obviously, they've never recovered that 2 million mark, right, when they really got the hype. But they're still doing all right. They're kind of continuing to truck along here with their game. So they've still got some life left in them. They still got some life left in them, and clearly they've made some money. A legal mindset, Power World stream, maybe. Maybe I want to do more gaming streams. I actually want to do some of that. I do need to replace my PC, and that's something that's going to take me some time because I've got to build it out and everything like that. So gaming streams will happen at some point. When I don't know. So if this lawsuit is going on, a couple months from now, when I will do a new PC build, I will definitely consider that. Sparkus says, sorry, that's my bad. You're all good, bro. Silbury says, IMPO chat's missing the point. This isn't about Nintendo being petty. IP law is just inherently fucked on a societal level. Tom Scott, but well, no, I agree with you on that, Silbury. Both can be right. Nintendo is being petty. That's true. But IP law is also fucked and overly broad. I mean, both things can be true. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. That's my personal opinion. I think both things can be true, right? Nintendo is petty, right? They are, right? But at the same time, they look at their patents and are like, well, under patent law, which is pretty broad and, pretty ridiculous, we can recover on this, or at least force them into a settlement. And they're saying, why not? Right. Shiro Kitsune says, since Pocket Pair is semi-partner with Sony and Microsoft, could they step in to help? Also, is it possible to intimidate indies? No, they can't step in to help because they're not the ones that are being sued over patent infringement. Sony and Microsoft didn't patent infringe here. So I don't think they're necessary parties. I think that they're superfluous to this. Could they try to assist from a PR angle? Maybe, sure. Could they help them find good lawyers? Sure. Right. But I don't think that's a defense like Sony and Microsoft showing up is going to cause Nintendo to run away. Right. Nintendo is pretty locked in on this. And since they're filing in Japan, Microsoft is not going to have as much clout there. Lelouch Fantasy says, this is Nintendo. I don't think they care if they look like they're being petty. No, and maybe they don't, and maybe they think they're unassailable, but that is the fatal flaw of corporations when they get to the state of hubris, of sheer fucking hubris. Look at the Walt Disney Corporation. They are exactly the result of sheer hubris, of thinking that they can shit out absolute garbage and that people are going to treat it like it's a diamond, right? Are going to polish it like a diamond. Artemis says, what happened to the VTuber presidential debate? Oh, so I was going to do that one. I think it was timing. And I needed to get some more folks to do it. I had 2 people that said they were going to do it, but I wanted to get more involved. So that's one that may come back in a bit. Now that I've got a little bit more time. I needed more time to coordinate that, frankly. CPPC Tech said, I would love to build it for you. I'll help you. Well, let's talk offline, right? If you've got my email, you can shoot me an email, or my X or whatever, or my Discord. You can hit me up on any of those, X, Discord, email, whatever, and we'll talk about that. Thank you so much. King Conda said, can't this open Pokemon to be attacked by Digimon? No. Digimon doesn't have the same type of patents. And frankly, once again, if Digimon was going to sue Pokemon, they would have done that a decade ago. They would have done that 2 decades ago. It is far overdue for this. Right now, 1 year may sound like a long time. It's been about a year since Power World dropped, but in the legal world, that's still within all sorts of statute limitations, etc. So you're not going to deal with something like, for example, like mootness, where Digimon is suing over infringements or copyright that they should have talked about 20 years ago, right? Stuff that should have been talked about way long ago. So no, I don't think Digimon is suddenly going to be, the magic bullet that takes down Pokemon. As much as people bring that up, and as much as it may be a valid moral point, it's not a really great legal point. So let's see here. I think I got all this. Okay, so we got through the Pokemon and Power World stuff. Time for Diddy. 25 minutes in. Eagle, stop the Power World clip. Roll the Diddy, baby. So we're gonna get into it. This is frankly, all of this is pretty
disgusting.
But once again, be warned. We'll start with some memes on the Diddy and what's going on with Diddy. Got some memes here for you, of course, because I'm a man of the memes and the man of the education and entertainment. Which is Juicy Smollett, Juicy Smooth, saying, they poured baby oil on me and yelled, this is Diddy country. That one got me. That one got me. We've also got here. This is one as a Floridian, and maybe Gators watching right now. Diddy, see you later, alligator. The alligator at your trial, pedophile. Now, of course, there's no proof right now that anybody who was underage was involved in these interactions. However, as I talked about on Midnight's Edge, when you're dealing with tens of potentially thousands of people, right? So this is something that is alleged to have occurred for a decade, right? You're gonna probably have some people that could have been minors, could have been lying about their age. A lot of stuff going on there, a lot of stuff. And if this goes down a rabbit hole where it comes out that he knew about it, it's gonna look real bad. Also, we've got the good 9/11 edit here, which is, sir, they got Diddy. Reporting into the mastermind of it all, Drake. Reporting into Drake. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Oh man, I love the memes on this. All right, so let's jump into it. And by the end of this, you guys are going to know more about Johnson & Johnson, baby oil, and 132 gallons, actually 133 gallons of this lovely, lovely substance. You're gonna hear about it. You're wondering, Andrew, what are you talking about? Oh, you're about to find out. You're about to find out. So, many of you guys have seen, and let me pull up the video here. Let me see if I can find it. Many of you know about Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, a lot of you probably, let's see. So many of you probably know about him from back in the day, right? Because a lot of folks, going back to Biggie and Tupac days. So they knew about him during those days. And even back during the Biggie and Tupac days, obviously he's a rapper. He's been around in the rap scene for a while. And even back then, people were like, yo, Diddy's the one that got Tupac killed. Biggie's mom is like, fuck that guy. I don't like that guy. I would slap the shit out of that guy. There's been people talking shit about him, especially in the rap world, for years. I mean, even Eminem, who, once again, Eminem has a lot of bad takes, but even Eminem has been shitting on this guy for a while. People have been calling him a criminal for a while. People have been saying he's dirty for a while. People brought up Cat Williams. We talk about Muse. People have been pointing at this guy for years, but there haven't been specifics. Well, over the last year, there's been things that started to come out. Now, one of the things that came out is this hallway video. Now, this is graphic. This does involve somebody getting allegedly abused. I mean, it looks like abuse from the video. To me, it's pretty clear evidence. But we had some video of them of Sean Combs assaulting Cassie, who is a woman in a hotel room here. So let me just show this. Obviously, this is graphic content. So if you are very susceptible to, being triggered by this or whatever, you've been warned.
Captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend.
So once again, running down in a towel. So he's probably naked under that.
Hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs
grabs her by the scruff of the neck, on the scruff of that hoodie.
Combs assaulting then-girlfriend.
Throws her down on the floor, right? So that's right there, criminal, right? That's criminal in and of itself. So that in and of itself is criminal, okay?
Friend Cassie Ventura
kicks her while she's down
a hallway. A now settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her.
And then dragging her back too, which is the other thing. I mean, so, what was he trying to get her back into? What was he trying to get her back into? Real crazy shit right there. And, we thought, okay, well, this is pretty crazy, but how can it get even crazier? Well, hold on. Chaos Smashes Diddy soon to become the devil's roast beef. I love that you guys picked up that term for me, guys, the devil's roast beef. By the way, that's when two men engage with another man in prison and clap those cheeks. Kyria says, this reminds me of when Nintendo sued Shironeko PJ. Yeah, it's pretty petty, right? Let's see. Marksman of 117B. This is my safety mark to prove my prick wasn't blown off by a Jewish pager. I need to go complain to some family about mixing up packages. Oy vey. Yeah, the pager stuff is insane. Hezbollah dicks are flying off faster than you can count. That's pretty crazy. But that's a separate topic and a separate topic for another day when we talk about blown up pager penises. All right, Lenmar says, hey, Andrew, are you planning to have a live legal battle with Neurosama? I'm curious to see who would win. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Like Neurosama on the law, right? That would be crazy. I would actually like that. That'd be fun. That'd be fun and based. So I would definitely do that. Let me reach out to Neurosama. Let me reach out. All right. So what we have now, going back to Sean Combs here, we have an indictment. So we have here a federal indictment. So this is a federal criminal indictment. It was filed by a grand jury, which is charging him with 3 separate criminal counts of racketeering conspiracy. Right? Let's scroll down here and just get the counts here. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So let's read through this indictment. It's not very long. It's only 14 pages. I will skim some of it and summarize this for you guys. But we have this now today. So he's now been charged with a grander, larger scheme. By the way, I love rappers because they get all the AKAs. So United States of America versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. And there's a whole lot of loving going on. And it seems like it was both men and women from what we're getting, not just from the indictment, from separate sources. We'll talk about that. For decades, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Diddy, PD Love, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others. So once again, this indictment does not rule out man-on-man love. It doesn't rule out P Diddy giving his Diddy to another bro, you know. Around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, he relied on employees, resources, and the influence of a multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Sounds pretty fucking crazy. So that's a lot of stuff there. Sean Combs, the defendant, operated his business headquartered in Manhattan and LA under a variety of U.S. corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, recording label, a studio line, alcoholic spirits, marketing, television, and media. At all times relevant to the indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting in his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. So now you have interstate transporting of sex workers. That's pretty fucking crazy. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, literally using as I will call it, the Rakeda method. The Rakeda method, right? Used by all losers to get women by giving them drugs, right? Controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Physical abuse by Sean Combs, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least in or around 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, or kicking them. At times, the assaults are witnessed by others, including one incident in an LA hotel room in or around March 2016. So this is exactly what we just watched. So they took that and they used that in a broader indictment. So that incident, which we thought was over, which we thought was handled, was wrapped up in a broader indictment, which is actually pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And no, I don't think Nick Rakeda is going to be Diddy's lawyer. That would be hilarious, though. That would be hilarious, though. And I'll get all your super chats in a second. We'll get to them once I get through this chart cause of action. So that was captured on video on public reporting, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a member of hotel security intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. See, we didn't know this about the story. We didn't know this about the story. That adds a layer. His violence was not limited to women. It extended to his employees, witnesses, and to his abuse and others. So saying that he was messing with men as well, implying also that he was having sex with men as well, or involving them in his sexual shenanigans. Sean Combs, defendant, used Combs' business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, cover up his abuse and commercial sex. These employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, high-ranking supervisors, and their intermediaries, and their conduct facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. So this is setting him up for racketeering, essentially, for running all this as kind of the godfather of the freak-off. What is a freak-off? We're going to get to that in a second. From about 2008, Puff Daddy and his associates ran this organization, which involved transporting people for the purposes of prostitution, coercion, narcotics, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. They're doing a whole lot of shit. It is an ongoing organization with the common purpose of achieving their objectives, that being sexual deviancy, right? And they participate in these illegal acts as a criminal enterprise. So that's setting up the elements of racketeering. So the purposes were operating a global business, right? So obviously that's there. Preserving, protecting, promoting the power, reputation, and brand of Puff Daddy, enriching members of the enterprise, preserving and protecting and enhancing the power of Combs as the leader, right, through violence, firearms, threats of violence, coercion, verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, fulfilling the personal desires, including those related to his sexual gratification, including the exploitation of women and the use of commercial sex workers. This being, including both male and female sex workers, right? Because that's no gender on that. Enabling Combs and other members and associates to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including sexual violence, sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation, coercion, narcotics, and concealment of commission of such acts. Securing absolute loyalty through acts of violence and threats, and protecting the enterprise from law enforcement. Okay? So how did they do this? They did this by intimidation. They would intimidate, threaten, and lure victims into Combs' orbit under the pretense of a romantic relationship, right? You're going to be my next wifey. You're going to be the hot wife. You're going to be my mistress, right? Oh, by the way, here's some drugs. They then use force, threat of force, coercion to cause them to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to, among other things, as his freak off. So that's what a freak off is when these women were forced to get gangbanged, essentially, by a bunch of male commercial sex workers. And by the way, right, these were all arranged, directed, masturbated during, and electronically recorded. So he was gooning during all of this, as these women were getting the train run on them. And another thing, which I'm going to say here, I'm going to stop and pause, is this happened for decades. So imagine how many people in rap, in the music industry in general, in Hollywood, in politics, in business, were invited to these freak-offs and were recorded at them. Imagine how much potential blackmail material there is here. Because you got to understand, if you're running this for a decade, you're going to be showing this to other people. You're going to bring other people in on this. You're probably going to say, hey, you want to tag in on this? You want to get in on this? Right? This is potentially bigger than Epstein, because Epstein, people didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was in the beginning. Most people didn't know at all. And a lot of the people that are on that, we think are on that client list, or, came to that island, well, those people, many of them are the types of business people that control a lot. They own tons of stuff, but you don't know who they are. It was more of a shadowy thing. But in this This is Hollywood. Not only is the person who's the subject of all this, P. Diddy, someone who is Hollywood, therefore every Hollywood tabloid is going to want to cover this. But the people that are involved are almost all going to be well-known Hollywood business, people you know, famous people, people you can Google, people you can look up, people you've seen. The people involved in this are going to be crazy. And I know someone's saying this doesn't look good for Trump. It's not good for Harris either, right? There's going to be a lot of people, I think, on all sides getting caught up in this stuff too. Yes, there was a picture. I think there was a picture of Trump shaking Diddy's hand, but we literally, if you look at my X, there's a tweet from Kamala endorsing Diddy no less than a couple years ago in a glowing fashion. So there's deep ties between the Biden-Harris campaign and Diddy as well. So yeah. And oh yeah, also someone mentioned Bieber. Do I have that video pulled up? Let me make sure I have that video pulled up. I think I've saw that video. Who sent that to me? Someone sent that to me for real quick. But I saw that like Justin Bieber was also getting felt up by Diddy as well. So you've got lots of people who are involved in this, who are tied up in this. This is something that's going to get crazy. That's not going to, be resolved like in 2 seconds or whatever else. This is something that's going to go on for a while. And also it's going to involve a number of people. So yeah, this is going to be pretty wild. This is going to be pretty wild. I'm trying to see if I can find that. Let's see. I get so many DMs here. It's pretty crazy. But I did have one about Bieber. If someone has that, they can send it to me on Twitter, send it to me on Discord. That would be awesome because I had that pulled up where he's like groping up on Bieber. And once again, when you're dealing with people at that level of power, right? Like at that level of distinction, you're going to get some pretty fucked up things going on. So, all right, let me get some of these super chats and then we'll continue here. You'll have to reach out to Vidal for NeuroCollab. Of course. Thank you, Chaos Mash. Jedi Master Clap Dim Cheek says, about to have my own interrogation of Diddy. What? Because you're going to clap them cheeks? I don't know. Steve Miller for $9.99 says, Andrew, did you see that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are moving ahead to sue Pocket Pair over Power World on the grounds of infringing patent rights? Steven, rewind the video, my brother. I just covered that topic. But I know that there's people just getting here. There's 1,000 people here. So you rewind the topic. I talked about that. And my Intrepid Clipper Eagle will have that clipped out probably within 24 hours. So we'll have that separated out for you too to get to review that. Brandon also said, Nintendo is asshole. I could deal with copyright, but patent, they're the worst of the console gremlins and patent trolls, pure evil. Yes, patent trolls are the lowest of the low. They're the absolute fucking scum of the earth, and that's what Nintendo is associating with. Sleazy said, think Diddy docked with Drake. Very possible. It's possible. Very, very possible. Chaos Smash for 2 said, Diddy denying the claims. It ain't me. Of course he's going to say that. And we're going to get into the response because we've got not just this indictment, we've got the statement from federal law enforcement that went to deny him bail. We've got the judge's testimony or the judge's statements and the statements in court, which were not televised or there's no video, but we're going to do a dramatic reading, right, of the judge in the ruling on bail. So we're going to go through that. We're also going to go to the statements of Diddy's lawyers. So we've got a lot of stuff here today, guys. So strap in and strap on like you're a commercial sex worker in a freak off because we're getting into it. Arranging these freak offs, Comb, with the assistance of members and associates, the Comb Enterprise transported, caused, and transported commercial sex workers across state lines and intentionally. So the women were more romantic, but the men were male commercial sex workers. So literally he was sourcing dick across state lines. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and involved multiple commercial sex workers. Freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances, in part to keep them obedient and compliant. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, he kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. So literally, they were drugged up orgies. Crazy. Members and associates Let's see here. I'm going to start some stuff. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal tenants, and other Combs business associates, facilitated the freak-offs by booking hotel rooms, stocking them in advance with required supplies, including, here we go, controlled substances, baby oil. Baby oil. We're going to talk about the baby oil. Lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. Got to have good lighting. If you're going to film porn, got to have good lighting. Cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs, trying to mitigate the damage, arranging travel for the victims, commercial sex workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large amounts of cash to pay the sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. During searches of his residence in Florida and Los Angeles, they seized various freak-off supplies, including 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Okay. Remember I said that would become relevant? So let's do a little math here. Right? If we're looking at that baby oil, right, we're going to that Johnson & Johnson, and we're going to the 500 milliliter version, and we're looking at times 1,000. So we've got a significant amount of baby oil here, about 133 gallons US, right? That you could literally swim in a giant fish tank of baby oil and lube, right? That is so much lube. You could slip and slide like at least 200 slip and slides full of lube. No problem. 500 liters of oil. Yeah, liters. That's fucking crazy. Guys, that you could drown a baby in that oil. Not that I would ever recommend that or support that or whatever else. Ridiculous. People saying he's a prepper, it's not a crime. No, but it's pretty weird. Also, somebody said, didn't Trump kick Diddy out of Mar-a-Lago for going after underage people? I don't know. That's that. I'd have to look into that. Once again, that's one I'd have to go back in the history vault and check that out on his relationship with Donald Trump. But what I know is 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You don't have those for normal purposes. That's more than a porn set, right? A porn set might have a couple bottles of lube and oil, but 1,000? I'm interested. 1,000 bottles of oil sounds like this guy's math teachers tried to warn us. So like this is the guy math teacher tried to warn us about. Yes. Artemis knew me at a 55-gallon barrel of lube for his stream. That's I mean less than half of this, but it's still a lot. 55-gallon barrel? Did she really? Was it full though? How did she even fill that? I don't even know how that's possible. Was it just mostly water? Did she mix it? Did she cut it? I mean, this is pure in the bottle lube. I think Numi must have had some cut stuff. You know, there's some baking soda in that lube. But that is crazy. There's no purpose that is one time that you're going to need that for. That is for an enterprise of lube. Bistoti Gigi dances on gallons of lube. Yeah, but not 132 gallons, right? Maybe a couple gallons, sure. But not that much. Right? I'm 54. I've never heard of this. I'm sorry. This is the first time being exposed to that much lube. I'm very sorry. There's a time in the life for everyone. Drums of lube can be bought. I understand that. But when you're running this sort of operation, I understand if it's full mix lube, real lube, Numi's chat bought it for via Throne. Oh, okay. Making more sense there. Making more sense as to the degeneracy. Ginblade says, Diddy, the baby oil merchant.
Disgusting.
Crazy. All right, let's continue. So he subjected them to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse. He maintained control over them by violence, career opportunities, granting to withhold financial support, and by tracking their whereabouts, dictating their appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with drugs. Right? He hit, kicked, threw objects at, dragged victims by the hair. The assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. He threatened their careers and livelihoods if they resisted participating. Victims believed they could not refuse his demands without risking their financial or job security repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. He used sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the compliant obedience and silence of the victims. Right? So really, really crazy there. They also seized firearms and ammunitions, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers and a drum magazine. Now, listen, as a lover of the Second Amendment, I can say that the guns themselves, by themselves, alone are...
Not a sin. I cannot absolve you. Mega based.
I like myself a drum magazine. I'm not going to lie. But when combined with the other things, that's the problem. By the way, Muzzy, thanks for stopping by. I see you in the chat. So he used violence, threats, injuries to keep control of them, right? He also kept control that same way of his employees as well, right? He also used his authority or reputation to swing around. And would deal with bribery or attempted bribery, would talk to people he knew or said he knew in law enforcement. So all of that put together comes together to a conspiracy, right? To a conspiracy. By the way, amongst the narcotics that he was said to control here are cocaine, oxycodone, alprazolam, 3-4 of meth, so meth. Dimethoxyphenethylamine, gamma hydroxybutyric acid, ketamine. So all this stuff. So I actually don't know what the fuck this is. This is the one I don't know for sure. And then the gamma butyric acid. These two I don't know what they are. But the other ones obviously we got cocaine, oxy, meth, and ketamine. So yeah, a lot of stuff there. Is that MDMA? Was it MDMA? Maybe. So maybe I don't know the scientific name. Okay. Thank you, my drug specialist here, Molly. Okay, Molly. Thank you, my drug specialists who know this stuff. I just know the street name, guys. I'm just a man of the street. But thank you, chat. The chat is always based. Chat is always based. And the chat knows when we start talking about, these sort of topics, the chat is sometimes...
Yeah, right. Explain this to me like I'm retarded.
That won't be that hard.
The chat is sometimes the one doing the explaining. Appreciate you. I'm the man of the people and a man of the chat. But guys, we got 1,100 people here today. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate all you. If you could smash the like button, because we only have 388 likes. Let's get to at least 500, a minimum 500. So if you guys could do that for me, I would much appreciate it. Thank you so much if you enjoy this coverage. It is part of the conspiracy that they agreed a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs Enterprise. This is a legal element. You need to have at least some acts there, which they indeed have. Also, there's a special sentencing factor because this was multi-state. You're dragging people across state lines. And you're knowingly recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining, advertising, etc. A person knowingly disregards the fact using force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion, right, to engage in commercial sex acts. So essentially, you're sex trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, right? So there's a factor for sentencing. So that's in regards to count number 1. Count number 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion. So using a lot of these same elements, right? The things you said above, right? Engaging in interstate commerce, right? To force people to engage in commercial sex acts and causing those things to happen while transporting, harboring, and maintaining those people. So you got that second count. And third, transportation to engage in prostitution. So he transported people across state lines with the intent to engage in prostitution, right? and both female victims and male commercial sex workers, right? You've also got forfeiture allegations. So as a result of committing these crimes, P. Diddy shall forfeit to the U.S. any and all interests that he acquired as part of this. So that can include money. So they're going to take a shit ton of money. They're going to confiscate the lube. They get all of the lube. Powder Keg Greg says, what's up, Andrew? Diddy wanting to replace Popeye. A whole lot of stuff out there, Bluto. But appreciate you, Powder Keg Greg. As a result of committing the offense, he shall forfeit any property, real or personal. So the meaning is his property can get seized, intended or used to commit or facilitate such an offense. So his Miami house, if you guys have been to Miami and you've seen his house on the beach, likely they're going to try to confiscate that thing. On Star Island, you guys ever gone on a tour to Star Island down there? Of course, Miami's my hometown. I know it well. Anytime you drive by or do a tour or do a boat tour, they're like, oh yeah, that's P. Diddy's house. That's going to be taken along with the loot, right? As well as proceeds from that. So you've got this filed with the U.S. court by Damian Williams, United States State Attorney. This is in the Southern District of New York. So the case will proceed in federal court in New York. So we had that, and we're like, all right, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts, right? It's about to get more nuts. So here we have a video. In 2008, a man named Jonathan Odie claimed that he was Sean Diddy Combs' sex slave, and he went and shot up Trump's National Doral golf course. So this is once again linking back. We're seeing weird links to Trump here and other people. So he was taken into custody after he opened fire. He claimed that Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, and Diddy were secretly gay, that they were fucking each other. So Rick Ross should be renamed Dick Ross, because apparently, according to this sex slave, he was taking dick from Diddy. Same with DJ Khaled. The indictment was unsealed today and claims Diddy would force women to have intercourse with his male sex workers. Let's play this clip here. This is fucking crazy. Let's play this.
Combs.
Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean.
So as a man, he is saying, as a man, he was not just having sex with the girl, he was having sex with P. Diddy as well.
Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I called her.
Sir, so he was a sex slave who contracted herpes as a result of his sex slavery.
Herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But Diddy and Ross, which they're good buddies, okay? They're gay.
Who?
Both.
So Rick Ross and Diddy are gay. So throwing it out there.
Diddy and Ross.
I got news for you. That means you're gay.
And Khaled, they're all gay. Okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They're all gay?
Yeah.
Got you. All right.
I seen the look.
At least, yes, this was the time before monkeypox. If this was the era of monkeypox, this is literally how monkeypox spreads.
Cocaine, I've tracked it myself. Having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. All right, he calls it Gigi. That's liquid cocaine.
All right.
So talking about doing drugs while they're having their gay orgies with sometimes women involved.
I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. I've settled $4.125 million.
Alleged Trump Doral gunman goes from dead broke to property buying spree at one point. He settled. He got money from him.
With Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was going to expose him.
I don't want to talk about Diddy right now. I want to talk about you. Help me understand you. I mean, who?
It looks like an exchange of gunfire right out of a Hollywood action movie.
This is in Doral. Doral is a part of Miami. So Doral's a part of Miami. It's actually kind of little Venezuela at this point, if anybody's been out there.
Police say on Friday he opened fire inside President Donald Trump's luxury hotel.
And to me, when I see something like this, especially that dead look in the eye, I not just see the prostitution, but also to me and to those who know about it, I think MK Ultra. This to me looks like MK Ultra level stuff, right? I immediately thought that. Like they activated him, like, you know, go get Trump, right? And he's like, you know, just went over to the tower and started going for him, right? Which, if you look at a lot of the people that are right now, you look at the people trying to come for Trump, the assassins, right? They're looking very similar, right? Especially that last one. If you look at the look, it looks really similar. Now that's my speculation. That's my crazy Andrew theory over here, right? That's not even legal. So let me caveat that. But yeah, there'd be some glowing. There'd be some glowing in the dark. Looks very sus. Even back in 2008. Oh boy, this stuff goes back a while. They knew. These people know.
Sir, I'm ordering that you stay away from the Trump National Doral Hotel.
Police say that's where Odie stole an American flag from, and that he went into the lobby yelling
Yeah, this is, by the way, not 2008, 2018. Somebody said made a misstatement in the chat. Somebody said 2008 in the chat, 2018. But by the way, has this stuff been going on since 2008? Yes. Remember, this is alleged to have gone on for decades. Think about how long Diddy's been around. He's been using sex slaves and freak-offs for multiple decades. Into the 90s, probably.
Trump remarks before shooting the ceiling and chandeliers. Police say he then got into a gun battle with responding officers.
The gun battle goes on for nearly a minute before Odie decides to make a run for it. Another camera capturing him still firing shots, even tripping on the marble floor. Odie was shot in the legs as he ran away and was arrested after running up a stairwell.
The accused gunman,
What a fucking joker there.
Jonathan Oddie, faced a judge for the first time Monday.
Mr. Oddie, you were arrested for 5 counts of attempted second-degree murder of a law enforcement officer.
Yep. So serious stuff. So you have a big little fact there. And you also have other people coming out of the woodwork to say stuff like this. Now, this is pretty graphic. I may end up getting in trouble for this. So please smash the like button because, obviously on my channel, I'll try to get you all the facts. And this is as part of a discussion of the broader legal context of this and the broader scope that can come out with discovery here. So do appreciate that. All you guys are joining. Also, shout out to everybody on locals. Let's see Joe Schmo over there and Danielle talking about 2.5 drums of baby oil. And also saying Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for creeping on a teenage girl. Very interesting. So right here, we've got further accusations of conduct with a male. So apparently this is leaked audio of Diddy and Meek. Well, I'm going to play the video and I'll let you guys decide what you think is going on here. Obviously, this is adult content warning. This is speculative. So let me just play this real quick. Order champagne. So I don't know about you guys, but when I listen to that, that doesn't sound like people going to church. I'll say that, man. That sounds like some well.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So, and then this dude comes out and says that he was just to summarize here, there's a dude who comes out here, and I'm not going to play the whole video here, but he says he used to be like a worker for Diddy, and he recorded this on his phone, and he was one trying to get recruited into a freak off, right? But then he asked for money at the end, which does make it a little bit sus, because he's like, hey, man, I'm trying to make a couple dollars out here, so like toss a couple dollars my way. Like that's him at the end of the video. So you do have to realize, look, there are going to be a lot of people that are coming out here looking for their handout, looking for their money, looking for their couple of bucks on this issue. But there's going to be a lot of legitimate stuff coming out as well. We've got to be our own judge and filter through it and say, does this look more authentic or unauthentic, right? Like sorting through any other bulk of information, whether it was looking at stuff like Cosby or like Depp, where we say, okay, is this something that looks valid or invalid? And one good point that was brought up by my good friends on Midnight's Edge last night, shout out to Andre and Tom, is right now, as things are dropping on Diddy, is anyone coming forward to vehemently defend Diddy, Sean Combs? They're not. Nobody right now is coming out and saying, oh my God, this is not the type of person he is. There's no way he would do it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that, especially from big name people. Nobody is doing that right now. No one's stepping out for him right now. Look at what happened with Johnny Depp. When he was accused, everyone's like, that's not Johnny. There's no way that's Johnny. There's no way. And that's why there was such pushback against it. That's why Johnny ultimately won, because so there and say, this is not Johnny. He's not somebody who goes out there and abuses people violently. That's just not his personality. And it's clear basically that that guy is not that type of person. He might abuse himself. He might, engage in substance abuse or whatever else himself, but that's completely different from abusing other folks. Let's see. There's another one here. About, let's see, someone posted this real quick. Let me just check out this clip. So I've got to mute this, but you've got Meek Mills here with Diddy, and the looks between them. I've got to mute the music because I'm going to get a copyright strike if I play this, right? But you've got Meek on the mic here and Diddy over here, and the looks they're giving each other are suspect as fuck. I'm just saying, like, now you got to put it all in context. Now you got to put everything in context. So put it all together, guys. Put it all together. Einander says, now the IRS has no excuse to bend us over and give it to us dry next tax season. The IRS is now fully stocked on lube. The Eclipse Warlord said, disgusting people. I would agree. These people are actual animals. And this is what happens when you have that much level of power. You just go to these insane heights because you've already done the regular stuff. You're trying to like do the deviant, crazy, nasty stuff. It's insane. Crimson Splat for 2 says, hit the like or you're an Ubisoft bot. And you're not even hot enough to be an Ubisoft bot if you don't hit the like. You're not even. Fighting monkey. Silver says, hear me out. Worship is worship. What context? Diddy is a demon incarnate. This is Chaos Smash for $2. Yeah, this is real bad stuff. Real bad stuff. Mercenary for 2, the speculation is 100% true. I give it 4+ days. Yeah, this is stuff that's been coming out. And when it's flooding out like this, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. We're going to get into, we still got the judge's ruling and the motion from the government, the motion from the prosecutors as to the bail, why they didn't send him out on bail. We're going to get into that in a second, but let me finish these 2 last super chats. Mercenary X21 for 2 says, sorry to say 45 or more days. November 7th is canceled. No. Now that's a whole separate issue. I don't think that Diddy is the October surprise. I think if there's going to be an October surprise, it'll be something else, but we will see. We're almost there. Billy Aoki said, Diddy do it though? Okay, good pun there. I see what you did there, Billy. I see what you did there. All right, so let's get into the indictment. Oh, wait, no, hold on 1 second. We got one more from CS for 5, who says, I remember Usher saying he saw, if Usher says that, when Usher says he saw crazy things, he lived with Diddy when he was 14, that'd be a crazy witness. Man, if Usher came out and was like, this stuff scarred me for life, seeing P. Diddy fucking men while they're fucking women in some, crazy freak off orgy, while they're on drugs. I mean, that would be some crazy shit. And once again, this is the type of people that can come up. Justin Bieber, Usher, right? Can come out on this. The Professor Keen says, I worry about how many others are just like Diddy. Diddy's not the only one. We all know this. This type of stuff and worse are happening with folks in Hollywood, people in power, people in politics, people really high up in business. This is what's going on, and this is why these people are absolutely fucking crazy. There's always been a sexual element to this. There always has been. It's just all of the people that were called crazy when we were called crazy. Oh, it's crazy to talk about the sexual deviancy of Hollywood and politics. And now it's coming out. Stephen Miller says, if you pour holy water on Diddy, would he burn, puke, pea soup, and have head spinning? Yes. I imagine he would. Jim Blades, 50 Norwegian, said, totally unrelated to anything. You wouldn't happen to know someone who wants 133 gallons of baby oil, would you? Just asking for a client. You know, we offer the baby oil, and all of a sudden you guys are like,
oh, yeah, that's what I like to see. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And last, I'll read this one before I continue. Mercenary X21 says $2 November 7th is canceled. Guarantee. Just wait. Oh, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'll wait. We'll wait and see. Look, I think there's a lot of things that are possible. I'm open to possibilities, but we'll see. You know, I always take a wait and see approach and address things as it comes. Let's continue. All right. So right here we have the U.S. Department of Justice with their statement on why Diddy should not be released, why he should not get bail. So Sean Combs was taken into custody this morning after a grand jury returned a 3-count indictment charging him with crimes related to a decades-long pattern of physical and sexual violence against multiple victims and use of force, threats, coercion to enact his will, protect his reputation, and fulfill his sexual desires. The government respectfully submits this letter in support of the request to detain him pending trial. As set forth, there is no condition or combination of conditions that would reasonably assure the appearance of defendant as required and the safety of others, not to mention the integrity of the proceedings. If released, he remains a serious flight risk, not to mention he is dangerous and poses an ongoing threat to the community. Most glaringly, he also poses a significant risk to obstructing justice. He has already tried to obstruct the government's investigation by contacting witnesses and feeding them false narratives, as described below. There are no conditions that would ensure the defendant's efforts to obstruct and tamper with witnesses will not stop. So they obviously indicted him. We've gone into the allegations about the freak-offs with the commercial sex workers, where they were using hotel rooms to engage in wild sexual debauchery, sometimes lasting multiple days with multiple sex workers. The hotel rooms were significantly damaged. He would give them ketamine, ecstasy, and gamma hydroxybutyrate, GHB, so they would continue to participate despite fatigue, physical, emotional exhaustion, and pain. He subjected them to abuse, physical, emotional, and verbal, dragging them, hitting them, kicking them, throwing shit at them. He paid over $46,000 to cover damage to a penthouse during a freak-off. Damn. He coerced them by controlling their careers, financial livelihood, housing, as well as threatening to disseminate the recordings. He has obviously his considerable wealth and influence, so would use that. And they believed they could not refuse. So he also had some guns. So we have right here his drum magazine. I do like the little Jolly Roger there. I do like that skull and bones. That aesthetic is kind of cool. With a defaced serial number and a large cap drum magazine. So there you go. He's got the goods right there, loaded with some 223, 59 rounds of 223 with that drum magazine. That's actually pretty sexy. I'm not going to lie. That gives me a Second Amendment chub, right? And yes, that's a lower. Yes. Right. So obviously, for those that aren't gun people, there's uppers and lowers, right? So there's legal distinctions there that matter for the good old ATF and the regulation of firearms. Combs bribing witnesses and obstructing justice. So, as noted in March 2016, he was captured on video surveillance kicking, striking, and dragging a woman in a public area. When a member of hotel security intervened, he offered the hotel security officer a stack of cash to ensure his silence. After he refused the bribe and after coordination between the defendant and his employees, the defendant's staff contacted other members of security. At the same time, staff members were in close communication with the victim of the assault to cover up the assault and prevent the incident from being publicly disclosed. Within days, the surveillance video disappeared from the hotel's server. So they really got this stuff wiped. During that time, they reached out to multiple victims to convince them not to report the abuse. They made repeated phone calls to victims and painted them with false narratives and intended to obscure his involvement in the obstruction. They're still investigating him. So this is what I'm saying, guys. This is not over. We're going to get more people. We're going to get all of the ambiguously gay trio. We're going to get Rick Ross. We're going to get DJ Khaled. We'll probably get Bieber up in here. You know, we're going to get Drake up in here. We'll see. We'll see who else we get up in here. We're still ongoing. There's still stuff that's ongoing right now. And because he's a flight risk, right? So let's talk about this. He's dangerous, right? He's engaged in these dangerous crimes. He's had some guns, which once again, I don't think the guns alone are enough proof. But because the nature of the crimes, the underlying crimes, is using physical force and threats and pressure as part of a racketeering prostitution ring and conspiracy, because of that goes to the factor of dangerousness, right? Obviously, obstruction. He's tried to prevent staff from testifying, from getting information out there. So that's a big one. And he's got enough money. He's got enough money. So we go risk of flight, right? The crimes that he is charged with carry significant penalties, including a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years and a statutory maximum of life. So Diddy can be facing life. So there is a possible factor of him fleeing, and there's many countries he could flee to where they would never touch him. So he could flee to Brazil. He could flee to Russia. He could flee to many places and they ain't going to be able to touch him. And he's got the money globally and the connections to do that. Right? To do that. Because he has an incentive to flee and his net worth is $1 billion at the estimate, right? With deep reserves of cash, bank accounts, corporate entities, right? He had $1 million personal cash on hand. He travels internationally very commonly. He owns a private plane. He has 2 residences. He has multiple vehicles. He has personal staff, right? He's got all of these things. And even if they took away his passport or his private jet, he could easily buy his way out of facing justice. Absolutely. He could get himself on the first cigarette boat to Cuba. No problem, right? No problem. Putin would send him to Siberia. Russia would be the last place. Flee to the Maldives. There's plenty of places. What I'm saying is there's plenty of places to flee, right? Hell, China. You know, so you've got apparently also saying the weight of the evidence is against him, and any bail package, no matter what it is, even if it's millions of dollars, it's insufficient for him. It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket for him. So even with defense counsel proposing certain bail conditions like home detention with electronic monitoring and a $15 million bond secured by his Miami property, that'd be insufficient to secure a guarantee. He might just say, fuck it, I'm out. I'm out. Because that, they said deny, and let's see what the judge said here. So we're going to go over to what the judge said. Now, this is covered by Inner City Press, who did a good job of covering this. They do a good job of covering a lot of criminal cases, so we're going to get into that in a second. Let's get into it. Emperor Creatine says, first R. Kelly and now P. Diddy, who's next to come out as the next Slaneshi cultist. Kendrick, is Dr. Dre going to be revealed as an evil protagonist? Maybe. Maybe, who knows? This is getting crazier and crazier by the day. Mercenary says, did you hear about the Peach Man rally and the third attempt? I'm going to do a separate stream on that, so I don't want to get too far off topic, but I'm going to do a separate one because obviously DeSantis is doing an investigation to the second attempt on Trump. So there's going to be more information coming out there from the DeSantis side, from the Florida side. So I think that's a topic for another day. But I'm aware of stuff going on, right? There's a lot of fuckery afoot. That's for sure. Eclipse Warlord for 5 says, I wonder if exposure to P. Diddy is the reason Mace left the music scene and found God. Yes, after you see stuff like this, you go one of two ways. You fall deeper into degeneracy, or you are brought, you discover your moral core. When you're exposed to absolute evil, to like literally, whether you believe in demons or not, I'm using the word demonic to mean a level of evil, right? Whether you believe in that or not, right? It's really irrelevant. There's a level of insane evil that exists in this world that when you are exposed to that, you have one or two reactions. You either acquiesce to that and allow it to consume you, or you fight against that and you find a moral core, right? You find a moral core. Someone said, like Nick. Well, what happened at hedonism, right? What did Nick see at hedonism that sent him down that spiral? Because we see a spiral with Rackets the Rail King. The before and after is striking, and yeah, maybe that's a similar situation. Maybe. Robert says, J-Lo is definitely getting exposed. Oh, 100%. J-Lo is getting deposed for sure. Mercenary says, third attempt, not the second. This leads back to P. Diddy. Sure. Let's see right now. So let's go over to Inner City Press, which once again, good coverage from them. It says, okay, now the U.S. versus Sean Combs bail appeal. Yesterday, Inner City Press asked U.S. Attorney Damian Williams if he seeks to detain. Yes, coverage below. So here's the coverage. This is a kind of a play-by-play. Once again, there's no video in this court. There's no recording in this court. So yeah, let's just go through this. In a high-ceiling courtroom 110, Sean Combs is at a defense table, still in a black shirt, not MDC tan shirt. 2 U.S. Marshals sitting next to him, waiting on Judge Andrew Carter. So giving a description here, right? Giving a description. All rise, says the bailiff. Government. AUSA Emily Johnson says the freak-offs were elaborate. They began in 2009, extended into this year. The freak-offs were arranged with this entourage. The defendant used narcotics so the victims would continue, ketamine, GHB, and others. AUSA says the defendant would record these freak-offs, at least in part, to use them to blackmail. We have an email. A victim says, you are going to make me. I'm not going to say it on public record, or you're going to leak some effed up shit, some fucked up shit. AUSA, a different victim wrote, he said he is going to expose me with a sex tape. I was drugged. Those are 2 examples. So it's rich when the defendant's submission filed today accuses the victim of extorting. He is the only extorter. ASA says we've seized 6 guns. They were in the defendant's home and he had access to them. We are focused on defaced guns in the defendant's closet. This is not about security, but dangerousness. The security team is the same one he says would monitor him. AUSA says the head of his security, the AUSA, by the way, means assistant state attorney. Assistant attorney, AUSA, assistant U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney, which is a federal prosecutor. The head of his security has now been served with a subpoena. Given what we've learned about his role in the offense conduct, now about the hotel assault, yesterday defense counsel called it a fight in a relationship, but it's trafficking. The defendant had a freak off on March 5th, 2016. We have evidence there was one commercial sex worker there in the room during the assault. She isn't even wearing shoes. She is in danger. Defendant storms out with a towel. So interesting. So that video we saw of the woman, of Cassie, in the room, there's evidence of a male sex worker being in that room during the assault. So that was fleeing from a freak off. We have a message from the victim. I still have crazy bruising. He claims he wants to get his clothes back, but that's not what happened here. She tried to escape the room with the defendant and a co-commercial sex worker. She fled without shoes. Immediately after the assault, the defendant gets sent those messages. Call me. The cops are here. I got 6 kids. Yo, please call. I am surrounded. You gonna abandon me all alone. The defendant knew he'd done something, could elicit police response. I like this. I got 6 kids. Right? Crazy. AUSA says he covered up what he did. This year, after the surveillance video came out, only then did he admit that it was him. Yesterday, it was claimed that his clothes were taken, but that's not what happened. Why drag the victim back down the hall to the room? The indisputable evidence makes it clear you cannot take the victim at his word. On March 5th, 2016 is far from the defendant's lone act of violence and obstruction. Freak-off activity is the core of this case. They use force, coercion, and drugs. Our investigation is ongoing. Half a dozen escorts is just the tip of the iceberg in the number of escorts who have participated in these freak-offs. This case is charged with a sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. The acts were not consensual. So they said they could give a case to consider, which is U.S. versus Hayden and U.S. versus Ray. Also, the Maxwell, U.S. versus Maxwell is a case. AOSA says the defense is arguing that anyone in a freak-off wanted to be there. That's not the law. When people are threatened with exposure and are beaten, they cannot consent. This is true. There are points at which in the law you cannot consent, right? And things you cannot consent to, like being beaten. That is not something you can consent to. That's trafficking. Victims' heads were slammed against car windows. AUSA, here is some text. When you get fucked up, you knock me around. I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child. So that's a text message from a woman to Diddy saying, you knock me around. So this is horrible stuff. We have witnesses who witnessed the injuries. This conduct happened behind closed doors in houses, hotel rooms, cars. Judge Tarnofsky was concerned. And AOC says Judge Tarnofsky found that she did not believe defense counsel can control the defendant. Consider the Mercedes case in this circuit, reversing the decision to release defendant. Let's turn to obstruction. Witnesses have an extreme fear of him. He directly contacted a victim in November 2023. Constant contact with witnesses to the charged conduct after the subpoena before the government interviews. There's two examples. There's communication between defendant and a witness, 13 contacts. The judge asked 13 contacts with two people. 14 contacts between the defendant and the witnesses. So he's really contacting these witnesses. He reached out to a witness he had not been in contact with for several years after the subpoena. He used intermediaries. AOSA, he recorded the conversation on another person's device. He twice called a victim. He received a text from this person, other person in response. It reads, I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. 3 pages, my experience. The defendant called her and gaslit her, trying to convince her it has been consensual. He repeatedly said that he was not supposed to be speaking on the phone. He told witnesses not to text him. The defendant said, if support, nothing to worry about, money. So meaning he's going to pay any money. He's going to pay this out. He's going to pay this out no matter what. Speaking of which, if you guys like this content, if you appreciate that, we've got 571 and almost 1,200 people. So if we can get another 100 likes, that'd be awesome. If you guys appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining. Appreciate all you guys' support, sticking with me on all this. This is intense content. So once again, I try to be educating and entertaining, but I do take things pretty seriously. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And appreciate all of you. Help me fight the algorithm, because the algorithm is already against me on this one. So they kept saying the defendant, AUSA, this is the prosecutor says, the defendant wrote his financial advisor should not make a mistake and not get the rent paid. That was obstruction. We cite U.S. versus LaFontaine, a defendant who has filed a false narrative. I'll go over the cases, which she does right now, what she was about to do, and the judge shuts him down. So before the nerdy AUSA is like, I'll go over the cases. The judge is like, that's not necessary. I already know the cases. So they talk about a recent civil suit with Don Richard. We didn't deal with Lawrence Ray's case. Magistrate Judge Fox ordered detention, even one victim, but the judge found they cooperated. The judge found that corroborated by documentary evidence. Anything else? A few more things. How many? AOSA says 3 minutes. Traveling to New York does not change the danger to the community. I am here seeking detention. I note that the bail package does not have enough conditions that focus on obstruction, and it couldn't. He's been involving other people. The defendant should be detained pending trial. Judge says defense. So here's his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. We're going to see him later. Let's start with Miss Harper. I was called by her and her lawyer. I say, do what you want, make a statement or not. I later found out she did. The second lawyer, so P. Diddy's second lawyer, Tenny Garagos, says Miss Harper felt like she was being besmirched. We did speak with her at 2 a.m. on the 11th. Judge said after speaking, what would be the reason for Mr. Combs to continue to contact her? Garagos says she was concerned she was in the media. I have brought today the head of Sage Intelligence. We are proposing that Sage Intelligence personnel, all former law enforcement, will be monitoring the residence and Mr. Combs 24/7. They will have 1 or 2 employees there at all times. There will be a visitor log. Only pre-approved could come in. We will give the list to the court. Mr. Combs will not have a cell phone or access to the internet. That way, no witness intimidation, completely nullified. Having Sage Intelligence on site will do what we have to do, even 3 there. If you don't believe that Mr. Combs' action in coming to New York are only about risk of flight, it shows he is deeply respectful of the court's authority. He is responsible. Agnifilo says Mr. Combs knew he was under investigation and gave us his passport. This is not defense lawyer theater. We took the passports of 5 of his family members. We have a letter of intent to sell his airplane. We have 3 buyers who didn't work out. A judge says, can you get to the point? It shows he is trustworthy. He is not a defendant who says, come find me. In Maxwell and Epstein, the judge says, how does that relate to danger and obstruction? If he was aware in April, why was he contacting witnesses? Also, one of my lights just died here. They blinked out on the left. Says a woman contacted him. She said she'd gotten a subpoena. We told him, don't speak to her. Judge says, talk to me about danger. Agnifilo says people who are in danger are people who are contemptuous of court, but Mr. Combs has never been contemptuous of court. He had a case in 1999. He came to court every time. He shows up every time. Judge says, under your plan, would he have employees? Agnifilo says they handle his finances. They're in California. Judge says, would he be able to leave his residence? No. And the security, they could be there in the house. Agnifilo says, yes, in shifts. We would put cameras filming 24 hours a day. They would do spot checks. He doesn't use the internet. We can make it as secure as we need to make it. There are already cameras there. Judge says the video is troubling. He was 40-something years old. So talking about the video where he beat that woman. Agnifilo says he realized he has a problem with drug addiction and anger. He went into rehab for a period of time. The woman in the video also went into rehab around that time. Agnifilo says they loved each other. The written messages are heartbreaking. The sex and violence are totally separate, motivated by separate things. The way they chose to be intimate, they would bring a third person on. They chose that. So they're admitting. So hold on. As my light dies over here, as my light flickers, they are admitting, the defense counsel here admitted that there was a third person involved. So this is not this is okay. I'll stop dunking on Nick here, but this is when you kind of own yourself, and the parallel there, it's like when your filings kind of own yourself. It's like they're admitting that this was that there was other people involved in their sexual relationship, legally a cut. Brackets, but with fuck you money. Sure. Right. Judge says, what does that have to do with him punching her, throwing a vase? What has love got to do with that? I love that response. What's love got to do with that? Got to do with that? What's love got to do? I'm not quitting my day job as an attorney for a singer, but what's love got to do with beating people up? Agnifilo says that was jealousy from infidelity in both directions. Mr. Combs and the other person, the violence is from that. Judge says, what's your point? Judge says, and you say they invited a third person in. So once again, the judge is confirming this is a cuck-like situation. It says, if that person is a commercial sex worker and they travel across state lines, isn't that a problem? Agnifilo says, I've spoken with the agency. They say they are not paid for sex, but if they feel like it. So essentially, this is the sugar baby defense. So if you guys are not aware, the way that sugar babies operate legally is, or questionably legally, is saying, well, they're paid for their time. They're paid to show up. What they do is whether or not they feel like it. So if they don't feel like fucking you, they don't have to fuck you, right? That's one of these like, well, it's not prostitution, wink. But we all know, like, once again, are you going to pay some random hot girl, thousands of dollars just to sit there and eat coffee and cake with you. Well, maybe some mega Uber simps might, but most people, it's presumptive, right? It's like, okay, you're presumably paying them this to have sex, right? Like, well, he paid me this money and then I chose to blow him. I chose to fuck him. I'm like, that's, we all know what's going on here. Like, professional gentleman says, right. Right. Thal says for 5. I have it on good authority. Even Slanesh cringed when he heard about P. Diddy. It is getting Slanesh level of depraved. It's getting Slanesh level of depraved. King Lugia gifted 1 Legal Mindset membership. Thank you so much, King Lugia. Appreciate that. Very based of you. Very based of you. So let's continue here. Agnifilo says the former government of New York, he did this. He was prosecuted there, prosecuting Combs for it. Judge said, let's get back to the video and the physical beating. Why isn't that related to dangerousness? It's not sex trafficking. Even if you don't trust him, trust the bond package. 50 million bond, no internet, sage that will give you the court comfort he is not a flight risk. Then he can prepare for trial. We had known this is coming. He could have run in March. Agnifilo says he was actually an altar boy. He was an actual altar boy. Wait, what the fuck? Is this an actual fact? Chat, was he actually an altar boy? Like, really? Like, was he actually like a church altar boy at one point? Judges, how far back are you going? He watches a sermon every day. He has done a great deal to earn the court's trust. I asked you to release him. Wait, what? It's true? The demonic altar, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Hold up. It's adding up. People are like, now we know he's gay. Once again, it's not whether or not he's gay that I have a problem with. I don't care if anybody's gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever. I have a problem with coerced sex, which is criminal, right? That's the problem here. And also, another thing that just jars me is the hypocrisy and not coming out and just saying it like it is, right? But in this case, this was criminal gayness, right? Or rather bisexuality, because I guess there's women and men involved, right? So he's swinging all ways now, taking it in every orifice, so to say. Yeah, the Church of Satan. Yeah. I've heard from parties, I find the government has proven the defendant is a danger. Regarding the bail package, it is insufficient even in the risk of flight. So the judge is saying that the government wins here. There's no bail. No bail. He will remain detained. So let's do an initial conference. So the AUSA says the discovery will include photographs of physical evidence, the March surfaces, and the freak-off supplies, as there are a large number of electronic devices. For electronic devices, are we talking about cell phones? Are we talking about vibrators? What do we got here? We're going to get some sex toys in the evidence locker? AUSA says we have 35 full extractions ready to produce to the defense. We'd request a status conference in approximately 90 days. Ignifilo says, given that it'll be in the SHU in the MDC, I can't for now consent to any exclusion under the Speedy Trial Act. The judge says I can set a trial date if you want. If I can't try it, I can find a colleague who can. Ignifilo says, let me speak with the government. He whispers to the AUSAs and says, how about a conference in 14 days? The judge says, what is your position on speedy trial? Agnifilo says, I'm not prepared to waive it, meaning they're not yet waiving speedy trial. So they may have to have a trial soon. Now, I think that'd be stupid to rush to trial and not waive that, but it's a ballsy move. So they set a date for a conference on October 9th at 2 p.m. ASA says we move to exclude time under the Speedy Trial Act. Agnifilo says I can't consent. I'll know on October 9th. Judge says I exclude time to then. So there's going to be another update on October 9th because of the Speedy Trial Act. They've got to move and make some progress here. So big stuff there. And then we've also got a statement from the lawyer afterwards. So let's see. This is Mark Agnifilo in his statement afterwards. So let's check him out here.
Good afternoon, everybody. So
let me repeat this. I know the volume's dim, and let me drop this off because I think that My volume enhancer isn't loaded on this. It's not loaded on this. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, okay, no. It actually is loaded on this browser. So let me turn this the fuck up. So we're going to turn this up a lot. So be prepared. I'm going to multiply the volume. Tell me if this is better. Play it one more time. This is way up.
Good afternoon, everybody. So we made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way.
Better?
The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of time he spends in very, very difficult and I believe inhumane housing conditions.
Okay, so let me summarize here, since apparently the volume app does not work properly. Whatever, I'll fuck with that later. It works better on YouTube, and there's one in specific for YouTube. But anyways, point of the matter is, the lawyer comes out and says that he thinks that the conditions that he's in are inhumane. He's going to continue to fight. He's going to press for speedy trial. That's the main thing. So speedy trial is a requirement whereby the government has to bring the case within a certain period of time, right? It's required for them to do that. So that's something that is very, very interesting. If they end up going through with this and we end up getting a trial within 90 days, within, a couple months, that would be fucking insane. Of course, I would cover that. But the thing is, with federal trials, there will not be any cameras. So this would be something that I'd have to cover off camera, right? So this would be something that I would cover just like as a what happens after every day and kind of giving you an update. It's a bold move. It's a bold move, Cotton. But yeah, you can do it, but it's a bold move. 200 Watts Dude says, I'm ready for Diddy's friend Oprah's freak off video. Man, imagine that. Mercenary says Oprah is worse than P. Diddy and Jeffrey and the island. We would see. I mean, I'd be scared to see Oprah on video though. That ham planet going up there in a freak off. Oh man. That'd be pretty crazy. Also, I think someone said, yes, thank you. Boomher sent me the Bieber video. So here we've got it. Thank you for that. I know I'd seen it somewhere. So there's video, and I believe this is it. Yes, here it is. So Diddy is checking whether Justin Bieber is wearing a wire. So let me play this for you guys so you guys see this. And I'm going to just share this entire screen with you guys. So you guys should get the audio on this just fine. I'll try to get this as high as possible. Look at him, what he's doing. Look at the pat down here. Look at what he's doing. That's a checking for a wire, Pat. The tap, checking for the wire, right? So what does Bieber know? Oh, baby, oh. This is gonna get wild, guys. This is gonna get wild. Polly Popcorn donated 5 Legal Mindset members. I think that's the first time you've gifted, Polly Popcorn. So appreciate that gift very, very much. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. It really helps me do this on a regular basis and bring you coverage like this. It helps me know you like this topic, because I mean, if people support the channel, it's like, all right, you guys like this? If people don't, well, I got lots of topics. I got Disney, I got VTubing, I got lots of stuff to cover. Speaking of which, tomorrow for all my members, if you got a one from Polly Popcorn here, you got a free membership, which please say thank you for. We are going to have a member stream, which is going to be a fun stream. We're going to go over some VTuber clips and controversies on a members only stream tomorrow tomorrow evening for you guys around the same time as this stream, maybe 30 minutes later or so, because I do plan on going out tonight. So I'll be kind of hungover a little bit tomorrow. But thank you very much for that, Polly Popcorn, and I hope to see all you members there tomorrow on the members only stream. 201 Studio said, what do you think of 1,000 bottles of baby oil were for? Obviously all for Oprah. Yes, because she needs to swim in that amount. I mean, if she does not have 1,000 bottles of baby oil, that's her native environment. That's how she survives. Let's see here quick. Oh, by the way, shout out to C3 Metal joining over there on locals. Appreciate all y'all, even if you show up late. And let's see here. We've got Mercenaries says, Oprah has that African school and she knew what went on. Indeed. A lot of people knew. Bieber has seen some shit. Yeah. Bieber has definitely seen some shit, Jay, for sure. 100% Bieber has seen some shit. Nick Atkins says, Oprah shows up around all the predators, Bill, Harvey, and P. Diddy. Powerful people. They run together, and they often end up in some pretty fucked up, degenerate shit like that. So just so you understand, yeah, that's a thing. These people end up all in this power, fantasy, sexual deviancy together. 100%. So that's what we got with Diddy's freaky case here today. Obviously, as there's updates, I will bring this to you. You know, you guys seem interested in it. Let me put out a poll here, just to make sure after hearing this. So after hearing this, do you want me to keep y'all updated on the Diddy case? Yes or no? Just quick yes or no. So we've now gone over the facts. You guys want me to keep you updated? Obviously, I will also track the Nintendo versus Power World. I'm very interested in that one. Also, the application of Japanese law and how that will be applied. I'm going to be looking into a little bit more about Japanese patent law and how that will play out in Japan. So if you're interested in the Power World versus Nintendo topic, obviously, you can rewind the video to the beginning. You can catch that. It'll be clipped out by my boy Eagle, of course. But I'm going to be doing more research into that one as well, because I know a lot of you nerds out there want me to keep on that one as well. 200 Watts Studio said Oprah and Sally Jesse Raphael oil.
Disgusting.
Indeed. All right, and CCPT C-Tech, I got your email, so thank you very much for that, and the offer of help. I'll respond to you after the stream. Obviously, I don't write emails on stream, but thank you guys for joining me today. It's been great. You guys have been based. Thank you all for joining on 1,200 of you. I am so fortunate to be able to do this on a regular basis, and I hope to try to endeavor to improve the channel, to improve what I bring you, to educate and entertain as a man of the chat, as a man of the people, and as a man with a based legal mindset. Until next time, guys, take care, stay based, and let's leave you with a couple of things here.
I'm not sorry, and I did nothing wrong.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Low